What's up, everyone? Nan Man here, and we're back with another episode of Nan Man's Nerd Corner, where we talk about all things nerdy. And normally we do have our co-host Jaime with us, but this week it's one of those nice little filler single-person episodes. And this one's going to be a fun one because we are going to be diving in and doing the audio version of our newest video, The Evolution of Creature Combo Decks. Now, this is specifically looking at Modern, starting from 2015 all the way up to 2023, and just kind of showing the release of very specific cards that came out in specific sets, worked and changed the way that we played creature-based combo decks. Of course, there were things like banning of Birthing Pod that really kicked off the need for the evolution of creature-based combo decks. And so we kind of go through and talk about how those combo decks work and kind of the evolution of, oh, we got introduced to these specific cards, and so now we got to adapt and change how we played and thought about progressing our game plan, and eventually branching off into kind of multiple decks that started from the Birthing Pod deck. And so it's very cool to see that. I've been brainstorming this idea for a while and finally got to put it into practice in this video. So let me know what you guys think of the audio file. If you want to watch the actual video, because it does show the actual card images, you guys can go over youtube.com/nanmansnerdcorner to be able to find out more of that fun content. Also, we're putting up clips from the podcast up on that channel, as well as more Magic-related content. But again, this originally started of us putting audio version of a lot of our Modern meta breakdown videos, which we've kind of maybe this new kind of histories type evolution. Looking back at old Modern decks it's something that I, really enjoy because, the current meta things are crazy with how powerful Modern cards are. It looks nothing like it did back in the 2015, 2017, those time periods when I was playing a lot more and, going to tournaments and doing that grind and, did the whole SCG funds and traveling to GPs. I of course was nowhere near pro status or nowhere near the real grinders. Best I did was make a day 2 at a GP, won a couple $100 playing at SCG events. So I had fun grinding and doing that stuff, but I was never really pushing it and making it serious and playing the best decks. I really just was specifically playing Infect and the decks that I like playing, Demir Mill, things like that I just, I wanted to have fun playing tournaments. So little different view, but of course interacted and have built the decks that I'm talking about in the video, as well as a lot of other decks that existed around that time. So it was really cool to kind of think about how specific sets and specific cards sprang these brand new decks from. So I thought it would be a cool first video to be able to watch. But let's jump into it. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter one. We do, of course, have all of our stuff available to you guys. All the podcast episodes are archived on there, so you can be able to check all those out. We'll see about right now we're looking into maybe a Patreon for full episodes in video form, other than just specific clips. But we'll see what the demand is, and if people are interested in supporting the show a little bit more, that might be something that we kind of add into the mix. But without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Court of Calling, Birthing Pod, Collected Company, and Eldritch Evolution. These cards were the backbone and evolution of creature-based combo decks, which had a unique history in Magic, especially in the modern scene. In this video, we're going to explore this evolution as new decks were created from the same seed, Birthing Pod. Abzan Company, Counter Company, Heliod Company, Golgari Yawgmoth. These 4 decks all originated from one starting point, the Birthing Pod deck. The Birthing Pod deck relied on ramp and powerful creatures to either accelerate out a 3-creature card combo to either gain infinite life or deal infinite damage. Or they could just beat you down with some of the best white, green, and black creatures. To perform the combo, you needed a continual sacrifice outlet, Viscera Seer, which had an activated ability to sacrifice a creature, scry 1. you needed one of two persist creatures, either Kitchen Finks or Murderous Redcap, depending on if you were gaining life or dealing damage. And of course, a way to prevent that negative -1/-1 counters from the persist trigger. In this case, we are utilizing Melira Sylvok Outcasts. If you have all three creatures out, you can sacrifice Kitchen Finks or Redcap to Viscera Seer. Their persist trigger will go off from the graveyard, returning them to play with a -1/-1 counter. However, Melira prevents them from actually getting -1/-1 counters, so you can do this an infinite number of times. In addition to this 3-card combo, many decks also ran Archangel of Thune and Spike Feeder, a 2-creature combo that would let you gain infinite life and put infinite +1 counters on your creatures. Being creature-based card combo decks, you need powerful tutors to set up this win. Court of Calling and Birthing Pod were these answers. That is, of course, until Birthing Pod was banned in January 2015. According to Wizards of the Coast, the high percentage of the field playing Pod suppressed other decks, especially other creature decks, that have an unfavorable matchup against Pod. In the interest of supporting a diverse format, Birthing Pod was banned. In March of 2015, only 2 months later, Pod fans will see 2 new cards printed. These, of course, were not the same power level as Birthing Pod, but added some replacements and diversity. Anafenza, Kin Tree Spirit, and Collected Company. Anafenza was the second non-legendary copy of Melira, which also added more value to the small creatures that were played in the deck due to its bolster mechanic. The second card, Collected Company, helps speed up your combos. Now you could no longer find cards like Archangel of Thune, but casting a turn 3 Collected Company could often set yourself up with 1 or 2 of your combo creatures. With the inclusion of Collected Company, the deck had to adapt and change. It now had less silver bullets or powerful one-of creatures like the Birthing Pod days, but instead it relied on creature ramp and speed to get your combo online faster. Being a 3-card combo deck, the deck was still very fragile, and it wasn't until April of 2017 with the release of Amonkhet that we see another change take place, with the release of Vizier of Remedies, essentially retiring Melira altogether. Vizier of Remedies was very similar to Melira, except instead of stating -1/-1 counters can't be placed on the creature, it said 1 less -1/-1 counter would be placed on the creature instead, which made for the perfect pairing with an old school druid known as Devoted Druid. When these 2 creatures are on the battlefield, you can make infinite green mana by untapping Devoted Druid as if you were going to place a -1/-1 counter on it, but Vizier of Remedies says place 1 less instead. What are you going to do with all this mana? Well, you can dump it into a Walking Ballista and just shoot your opponent down. This deck became known as Counter Company. The next big shakeup came in 2019 and 2020 with Modern Horizons and Theros Beyond Death. These 2 sets branched off 2 similar yet different decks within this creature-based combo sphere of Modern. Modern Horizons released Yawgmoth, Thran Physician, and revitalized that old Persist style decks with a twist. This time, players utilized the Undying mechanics from creatures like Young Wolf or Strangleroot Geist. When they died, they would get +1/+1 counters placed on them and returned from the graveyard. That is, of course, if they didn't already have a +1/+1 counter on them when they died. Yawgmoth is happy to pay life to place -1/-1 counters on your creatures, letting them die again and again. Of course, if you have a Zulaport Cutthroat out, you can inflict death by 1,000 cuts. Theros Beyond Death brought back our old forgotten life gain combo creature, Spike Feeder. Now that we have access to a better version of Archangel of Thune, I'm of course talking about Heliod Suncrowned. Spike Feeder, of course, lets you go wide and place those +1 counters on everything. And now that's pretty powerful, but maybe we're looking to end the game a little bit quicker. So let's make sure we follow the lead of our Counter Company deck with a win using Walking Ballista. All you need is a Walking Ballista with 2 counters on it,
Heliod the Sun Crowned out to give it lifelink, and away you go. Remove a counter from Walking Ballista, deal 1 lifelink damage to your opponent, which triggers Heliod to put an additional +1 counter on Ballista, and your opponent's life slowly disappears. Creature-based combos are still alive and well in 2023, and even though they started from that original Birthing Pod deck, the meta is so different from 2015 that it makes me wonder, could Birthing Pod be unbanned in today's meta? Leave a comment down below, let me know what you think. Would you like to see Birthing Pod back in the modern meta?
All right, so that's it for the episode. Nice little short one. So let's kind of wrap it up with our normal things that we do. What are we listening to? What are we watching? What are we playing? All that kind of good stuff. Of course, you guys know we were doing the Diablo grind, playing through, still grinding it out. We're going to, of course, do a nice little update on how our Diablo adventures are going, as well as kind of other updates soon. But did get back into the Witcher is on Netflix, so started watching that. They did like kind of the halfway point period, I guess, of the first 5 episodes before we get into any more. But this is also the last season with Henry Cavill rocking out as the Witcher, so it was, you know, nice to be able to kind of watch more of the Witcher going on. That's what we're kind of reading at this point in time. Still playing Diablo, of course. Talked about what we're playing, as well as just kind of a lot of group games with friends and things like that. But hope you guys enjoyed this little kind of audio portion of kind of Magic related content. You know, please help spread the word. Let people know about the podcast if you enjoy it. It's a great way to show your support, and just, you know, make sure you're listening. We're trying to do about every week or so we'll be doing an episode, usually Thursday or Friday release date is when you can expect them, and about every other week is the full big portion you know, audio with me and my co-host Jaime. But thanks for tuning in and listening, guys. Of course, the podcast is available anywhere that you can find a podcast, so whether you're finding it through the clips or whether you're finding it on actual podcast related stuff, Spotify, iTunes, Apple, Google, whatever, it's everywhere now. So, you know, let me know what you guys think. But thanks for tuning in and listening, guys, and I'll see you guys next game.